What's up, everybody? Going in live here for a second. About to start Real Life, Real Talk, getting all of these platforms up.
Now, here is Amazon best-selling author and inspirational speaker, Tyler Campbell.
Hey, what's going on, world? Tyler Campbell, a.k.a. Mr. TC Speaks, Mr. Real Life, Real Talk himself. A true honor and an amazing privilege to be in the presence, right? So listen, turn up that radio dial. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We have a lot to talk about today. As you know, I kind of been on the road. I kind of been doing a couple of things here and there. So it's a joy to be back. I guess feet grounded within the studio. You know what I'm saying? And this is our home away from home. And I'm proud to be here. My man Pat is here. And so definitely going to be an illuminating show. Got a lot to talk about. And so again, tell a friend to tune in and let's get this thing rocking and let's get this thing rolling. Listen, no matter the weather, this is where birds of a feather come to flock together. And at 10 a.m., listen to me, at 10 a.m., it is literally my time to bring you, the listener, all right? The number one, the MVP, as Kevin Durant used to always say, the sunshine. Tyler Campbell, a.k.a. Mr. TC Speaks, Mr. Real Life, Real Talk himself, and I am live and wild on your radio dial with a smile on my face. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, with energy to race. And if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for unity, if you are looking for community, then guess what? You are in the right place. And so you already know. Look, Pat got it. Listen, here we go. The bell is in session. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. What? So that we can grow. Another beautiful Saturday. And y'all know this. I told Pat this as I was coming in. And listen, it's raining outside in Austin, Texas. But I'm waiting on the Thunder to roll. As somebody who is a proud Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and y'all know y'all been hearing this from Kingdom Come. Yo, we finally got that title, right? We finally got the title. And so I'm happy, man. I'm elated. Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on the radio show. There are a lot of new notes and nuggets that I took away from the game, the previous championship by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And man, just hats off to them. I want to start this off by saying what I heard from Scott Van Pelt, and I really want this to let it marinate on your cerebrum, right? Because I'm going to go somewhere with it. I was listening to Scott Van Pelt. If you know him, you know, ESPN broadcaster, journalist, a gentleman who's had a great history, somebody who's always been a part of like my childhood upcoming, like similar to Stuart Scott. He's kind of like that guy who used to always see on ESPN, and he had a great analogy and perspective to say before the closure of the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the championship. And I want this to marinate on your cerebrum. We're coming in hot and heavy. Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks, going live at Real Life, Real Talk right now. Also, you can check out my YouTube page, going live right there as well. And Scott Van Pelt said this, and I want you to sit with this for a second. He said, everyone wants to be noticed, but not everyone is comfortable being watched. All right, I want you to sit with that for a second. Everybody wants to be noticed, right? Everybody wants to be on somebody's radar. Everybody wants to be paid attention to, but not everybody is comfortable being noticed. Shout out to my man Jay, who just tuned in with us from Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. My brother, I love you. I respect you. Keep doing what you're doing. Fantastic work in the mission that you are doing, upholding men and overall mental health, and all about checking in on brothers. I appreciate you, Jay. But with Scott Van Pelt saying that, it made me think a lot about it, especially in the social media world and the age that we live in terms of influencers and all these different titles. It's great because people love and want to be noticed. People want to be seen. People want to have their face. People want to have the comments. People want to have the likes, right? They want to have the followers. That is like being noticed. But what happens when your life is constantly being watched, right? When people are following you within 24/7, 24 hours of a day, 7 days a week, like who are you in that mode? And I remember Scott Van Pelt actually talking about the aura of Tiger Woods, right? Because everybody was like, man, we want to be on Tiger's level. But then when it came to actually playing with Tiger, when it came to actually being partnered up with Tiger, in particular on those Sundays, like when it mattered the most, when you're trying to play for a win, a lot of times we would see a totally different player. Like people weren't ready for the crowds. People weren't ready for the following. People weren't ready for all eyes on you on national televised programming. You would see a totally different golfer. So people would come in hot. They would come in as a favorite. They would come in as people who were going to be a leader. But when it came to actually being watched, you saw a different type of person. And I'll take a step further for me when you think about me, like I'm looking at sports and football. When bro, you had tons of cats on the team who were great in practice, right? Coach saying, oh my gosh, he's doing this in practice. We should give him a chance to play. But man, when you at the shoe, or when you playing at BYU University and you got the home crowd screaming down your neck as a player, and then you got to go out there and perform, like you can't hear the snap count, like you're going off a movement, like you can feel the vibrations of a stadium. Then you figure out what type of player are you when all eyes are on you. And then as a person, as a listener, are you the type of person who wants to be noticed, but when it comes to everybody watching you, are you comfortable? Like, can you actually show up? And I want people to sit back and let that be something that you examine your life with today. You want this, you want to be noticed, you want the write-ups, you want the accolades, right? But when it comes to all eyes on you, can you actually perform? See, because the performance and the ability to rise up is far more important than the hope of people putting eyes on you, people noticing the good work. Can you perform? Watch this. Can you perform even when nobody else is taking note over your life and what it is that you are doing? I think that's probably the more powerful thing is, man, when people aren't taking notice, right? When nobody is patting you on the back, when nobody is calling you and telling you you're doing such a good job, can you keep up the continued work and the dedication toward the mission and the calling that has been placed on your heart? See, that to me is the most important thing. But more with today's age, everybody's all about the likes. Everybody's all about the followers, and everybody's all about the comments. And I remember listening to comedians talk about this very, very fluidly. Like there's a difference in the comedic art. There's a difference between people who can just get in front of a camera with their phone within the isolations of the walls and just talking to a phone. Who are you when you hit the stage? Right? Who are you when you hit the stage? You got to make that joke pop, and you got to do it in front of a live audience of people who are directly in front of your face. You want to be noticed, but are you comfortable being watched? Can you be the same today as you are tomorrow when people are taking notes as to what you're doing? See, on Real Life, Real Talk, on this station, I believe in we're building individuals of character, right? We're building a new level of leadership for people who tune in and watch and listen to this show. And I want people to go and take their lives from the standpoint of being noticed to being comfortable being watched. Can you do that? And I'm here to tell you the biggest thing that will allow you to be comfortable being watched is your ability to excel in full authenticity and transparency with who you are. I feel like a lot of people fail when they start when their life starts being noted, when they start being watched by other individuals, they start turning into something else different that they aren't. Right? I always marvel again at somebody like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with putting up 30 points a night, putting up 35, dropping rebounds and doing all those types of things. He's comfortable in the spotlight. And who he is doesn't change no matter what the audience is. And those are the things that I feel like over the radio waves, I have to encourage people to look for. Okay, right now where you are, somebody's not paying attention to who you are. But right now is probably the most developmental part about your overall craft, about who you are as a man, about what you stand for as a woman. When nobody is watching, this is the most important part. Because when people start paying attention and when people start watching, as long as you've got that foundation built up for yourself in spirit and in truth about who you are, when people start to take notice and when people start watching, you're comfortable in the light because your foundation has already been set as to who you are as a human being. So craft up your foundation, right? Get comfortable in your aura, set the standard, and go do your homework and be in tune in the lab right now while nobody else is paying attention, because it's setting the standard as to how you will perform when they start watching you. And a lot of times people struggle because they try to turn into something else different. And I remember cats trying to get on the field at BYU. Like, people would try to go out of their way to make different plays, and they would not stick to their keys, right? They wouldn't stick to the training, the lessons that was taught in practice. And you would get out in front of the game, and cats would panic, and they would lose sight of all the training that they had been going through for preparation week on the football field the week prior. And the challenge is, who are you when you are being watched? You can do it in practice. You can do it when the crowd ain't yelling and screaming. But man, when you get out there and the crowd is screaming and the signals ain't coming in clearly on the football field from the sideline, and you can't hear the snap count, and coaches are screaming, like, can you hold it down? Are you the type of person that wants to be noticed? But when the spotlight then becomes on you, can you still perform? That was the separation, I think, that Scott Van Pelt was talking about when he was looking at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and then comparing it to Tiger Woods. And then I want people to look at it from your own perspective. Will you rise up and perform? All right, so think about those things and let that really and truly marinate on your cerebrum as to where you are with what you're working on, your craft, your goals, your dreams, your mission. Right? Nobody is watching right now. When that limelight hits you, when that spotlight hits you, when that stage hits you, when that asks to do something hits you, can you remain true to the values and the principles that you set for yourself? Or will you change, trying to be something that you aren't when all eyes are on you? Shout out to Tupac, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Special thank you to Earl Campbell Smoked Sausage, a true Texas legend. They've been rocking with us from the very, very beginning. It is July the 4th. I know, and I appreciate all of you all who put them hot links on the grill, right? We had some rain out here in Austin, Texas, all throughout. But, man, the July the 4th special holiday. Thank you, everyone, for going by to pick up some Earl Campbell Smoked Sausage. I really appreciate it. Get the feedback from the factory all the time. They're always looking at the numbers, and the numbers are steady rising here in Central Texas for the sausage business. A top 10 sausage company in the United States of America and thriving. Been around since 1991. Earl Campbell Smoked Sausage. Go by the local grocery store. Pick you up some hot links. Pick you up some value packs of hot link of value packs of smoked sausage, Polish sausage, as well as the hot and cheddars. Tell them Tyler Campbell sent you. Write some comments back into the website at earlcampbellmeats.com. And yeah, let's grow together. We got more to come back on the other side of this break. We have our word of the week. It's actually going to be 3 words that I'm going to have you let that marinate on your cerebrum and let you dive deeper in with before we get into our word. All right, so stay tuned. Come back on the other side of this break, and we will grow together. Love y'all. Respect y'all. See you on the other side. Yeah, man. So I appreciate you. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. I've actually got the YouTube channel going as well. So now you can start seeing the live shows. I got the camera set up now. Man, we got the radio going. So many platforms. And I appreciate you, man. Shout out to my man, Big E, tuning in from all the way down in Luling, Texas. Just a lot of love and fanfare that comes. I've got 2 people to thank on the other side of this break when we also come back. But no, just a live and dynamic show with my Oklahoma City Thunder coming back. Scott Van Pelt said those words, and it really manifested deep down in my heart. And I remember as a kid when I would see people like Tiger Woods, having all these crowds of people by the thousands coming back to watch him on Sundays, right? And you would have an opponent who was performing very well. As a matter of fact, the opponent may be the leader going into Sunday, the final round. If you watch golf, you always have that final round of golf on Sunday. But yet when that person would get paired with Tiger Woods, and you can see it, right? That person also understood that, if he can beat Tiger Woods, his career is about to go on a whole different trajectory because Tiger's at the top of the game right now, right? And you could see that person wanted it, but man, when they got paired to Tiger, they weren't ready for all of the eyes that were placed on every single move. And it wasn't so much about Tiger being on top of his A game. It was as much about the opponent. Could they hold true to their keys and remember the things that got them to where they are? And I have to believe that sometimes Tiger wouldn't go out and play his best ball, but it was that the person who he was partnered with, number 1 and number 2, would go out and wouldn't measure up to the standard, right, that they put for themselves. And so as you, wherever you are, I also want you to have a vision like you've already arrived at your destination, right? That you are preparing for that moment with every interview, right? With every book title, with every radio interview, with every opportunity, you are preparing yourself for the next level. And you see it at that particular moment. You're putting all that pressure on you. Why? Because when your door of opportunity knocks and when it's opened unto you, I don't want people to, when they get there, to turn into something different. Be what got you to this point, because what got you to this point is good enough. And then you're able to walk into a greater blessing because you're staying true to who you are. I can't tell you how many times you hear speakers, because the audience got bigger, right? The opportunity got larger. They stray away from the values and principles that they normally talk about, and they go off and do something new because they figure it's not good enough. But whatever you've been doing, it got you to that point, and it's good enough. All right.
To Real Life, Real Talk with Tyler Campbell on 102.7 ESPN. Reach out to Tyler at 512-834-1027.
I love it, man. We welcome him back. And again, thank you all so very much for tuning in. If you missed the first break of the Let That Marinate in Your Cerebrum, I'm gonna say it to you. Definitely go back and listen to these messages on SoundCloud. Find me, TC Speaks 32. I'm also going live on YouTube right now, TC Speaks 32, Tyler Campbell. You can also catch us live on Instagram at Real Life Real Talk. Tune in every week, every Saturday. We are here. Shout out to my man Big E. Man, a lot of rain over the weekend, who talked about it, and yeah, more on the way this morning. Big E, I appreciate you. I salute you. It is a joy to be back over the radio waves today. Speaking of listeners, I want to also give a shout out to David Higgs and Average Joe Crane. And Average Joe's been listening to me for a number of years, just like Big E has for my time on the radio. David Higgs had actually wrote a message to me last week, said that last week's message really connected with him and was helping him through what he was going through. Sent me a message on Instagram, and I appreciate y'all, man. You can also send me an email, tyler@tcspeaks.com. Again, let that be a notion, not necessarily a pat on the back for me, but when you have conversations with people, when you're interacting with people, you just never know what somebody else is going through, right? You never truly know what somebody else is dealing with. And so when you're having a conversation with someone, just know that whatever words of selection that you choose in your interaction, they have the ability to uplift somebody out of what it is that they're going through, or they can suppress them and keep them beneath the rock, and it keeps them not being able to overcome the hurdle that they're experiencing, right? You just don't know. I'm speaking to walls here where I am. I don't know who is tuning in, right? But I am going to give the microphone my best, and I'm going to approach it with authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability in my heart, with the hopes that my mistakes, right, the hopes of my shortcomings can be a blessing to somebody else. And my goodness, what would happen in the world that we lived in if we approached each and every conversation that we have with people that way, right? It's really that simple. It changes the trajectory of things. I'll let that marinate on your cerebrum in the first segment. Thank you, Scott Van Pelt. Everyone wants to be noticed, but not everyone is comfortable being watched, right? We all want this. We want people to see us. We want people to follow us. We want people to like us. We want people to comment over us. But what happens when, though, the blessings overflow, right? And all those things come your direction, a greater level of responsibility is placed over you. Can you still rise to the occasion? Can you be that same person that got you towards this opportunity? And I've seen it so much in speaking. I've seen it so much in business that people change because people are now noticing what they're doing. Beloved, whatever you've been doing thus far has been good enough to get you to where you are. Don't try to change things because people are now paying attention to what it is that you're doing. All right. You have to stay true to your core, your values, right? Your mission and your principles. Don't let the limelight change you, right? Just let us grow and love you even more because you're true and you stay the same. All right, that's real life and real talk. So let's get into the words of the week that we have. And notice I said words, not necessarily word. All right, we always have a word for the week, something that you can always keep at the forefront of your mind, like that. Let that marinate on your cerebrum. And for this week, I have words, right? Because they're actually 3 words. I think sometimes people often get them. What do you say? I think people often get them jumbled up into one, thinking that they're all the same thing, right? And they're definitely not all the same thing. They're all they have their 3 words. They have 3 different meanings. The words are for the week: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Okay, knowledge, understanding, as well as wisdom. All right, 3 different words. All right, sometimes they often get grouped as one metaphoric meaning, but they are totally different. And I feel like they go in chronological order. And so you have to get the first 2 before you can get to the third. You have to get the first one before you get to the second one. You get what I'm saying? So let's start with knowledge. All right. In the TCSV, the Tyler Campbell Standard Version of the dictionary, right? The TCSV, I classify knowledge not just necessarily information, right? Sometimes people look at knowledge and they say information. I feel like knowledge is having facts, okay? Not just information. Information can come from anywhere. There's so much information out in the world, but you always have to check the source of where the information is coming from. So when I say knowledge, I'm not just saying information. By definition, I'm asking for facts, okay? So when I say knowledge, it's the accumulation of facts. All right. When you've got all of your facts together, you then have to move on to our second word of the week, which is understanding. All right. When you have understanding, that means you get the meaning of the facts, right? You fully have the meaning of the facts that you have in front of you. All right. So knowledge is facts, the truth, the proof. You've got facts. Then you're going to backdoor the facts with understanding. All right. So once you got the facts, do you understand them? Do you get the meaning of the facts that you have in front of you? All right. So then after you got your facts and your knowledge, you can then move on to the third word of the week, which is wisdom. And this is my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite words out there. It's probably one of my favorite attributes. I feel like when you are a person who has garnered some wisdom in your life, that means you have ascended to another level within your being. And to me, wisdom is the application to make sound judgments and decisions, right? When a person is wise, they can make the right decisions. And when you're making the right decisions, that means you are setting yourself up for success. That means you are hopping over hurdles of deception, right? That means lies are not hurting you. That means you've got the right people around you because you've got wisdom. You make sound judgments and decisions. So when you talk about attributes that I hope that people will chase for the duration of this week, things that you should look at in terms of your own personal life, the people who are around you, right? Do you have knowledge, right? Do you then garner understanding, right? Do you understand the meaning of the facts, the knowledge that you have been given? Do you understand the meaning of those things? Do you know how to process that type of factual information? And then when you've got all those things underneath your belt, you have wisdom, which is probably the greatest attribute that is out there. So when people are like, man, how do you do this? Or what is it that you do? What is your routine, Tyler? How do you go about? I'll say, man, I'm chasing wisdom. But you can't get to wisdom without knowledge and understanding. So it's a step-by-step process. Get all the facts that you have when you're trying to start this next level of business, when you're trying to figure out what direction, when you're trying to hop into a relationship with an individual, do you have knowledge? Do you have all the facts? Right? Have you got all the facts before you're trying to spend the rest of your life with this person that you love, that you've been dating? Do you feel like you have all your facts together? Do you have the meaning? Right? Do you have the understanding? Do you know the ins and outs of this relationship? Have you gone back and assessed all of the information, the factual information that you have been given? And then when you've done all those things, do you have that ability to make a sound judgment based off of your facts, understand. And when you have knowledge and understanding before it, it makes it easier to make decisions. So when people ask me, how do you do this? Or how do you know what opportunity I should take? Or should I partner with this group? Should I take a job over here? Start with knowledge, right? Start with the facts that you have on the table. Then assess the understanding. Hey, do you understand everything about the company, right? Do you understand everything about the individual that you possibly can? And when you do, then you're able to have wisdom, the application of a sound judgment. You have that intuition within your spirit. You have discernment over your heart that allows you to say. Now, can you act on it is a totally different thing. But I think a lot of times, people can see if this person who they're speaking to is really for them. They can really and truly see if this person is a person that they should be in a relationship with, but they ignore all of the things that have presented themselves before them within the relationship. They ignore the late nights, right? They ignore a person who doesn't show up in a timely manner. They ignore all these different things that they feel like they can overcome, but they're the same things that will lead to the downfall of any type of relationship, right? And when we ignore those things, you can't be mad at anybody else but yourself, because that person showed you who they were the entire time. But you chose to ignore those things, hoping that you could overlook them, hoping that you could make them better. But in all actuality, they were the flaws that led to the downfall of the relationship, and that presented themselves early on. So I challenge everybody with the words of the week for knowledge, wisdom, our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. All right, keep those at the forefront. Go back and look up the definitions of them for yourself, and then you can greater apply them in your everyday life as you go towards this week. Now, with me, I want to catch everybody else up to speed, because I learned something very new about my child, and I'm gonna preface this. I think if everybody who's listening to this show, people know that I have a 12-year-old son who loves track, right? It's kind of one of the only sports that have ever stuck with him. I think he's always been a runner, right? He's always been that type of person who has an escape through running on a track. He loves to run. And I want to send a special shout out to my son, Messiah, who qualified for the Junior Olympics. I believe this is his 5th year in a row. He's been going ever since he was 8 years old. And this year's Junior Olympics is in Humble, Texas. He qualified in the 200 meters, the 4x400 meters, and the 400 meters. And I want to kind of give you a thought process towards my brain, right? Because I think 2 episodes ago, I talked about a conversation that I had with my son, and I was telling him that you can't be afraid of the pain. I told him before he ran his race, and those of you who don't know, the 400 meters is a full lap around the track, but it's more strategic. It's dang near a sprint nowadays, the way that they run them and the times that they have. And I noticed that my son would always be concerned about pushing himself, because what he was going to have to push against was the pain that he would experience with the race of the 400. Like, it is very painful, right? It hurts, but that's how you know you've ran the race correctly. When you get to the finish line, you've got nothing left. And I told my son, I said, man, you have to be honest with yourself, son. I said, this race is going to hurt. You can't get around it. But I would be like, man, you're going to be okay. Like, it's going to hurt for the time period, maybe a couple minutes afterwards, but man, you're going to ultimately be okay, because that fear was setting in from him, and that fear was keeping him, right, from being his best version of himself consistently with the race. So I titled a segment of the show a couple weeks ago, I titled it, Yo, It's Gonna Hurt, based off of a conversation that I have with my son. And sometimes we need to know that whatever we're going through, right, wherever we're trying to get to, and whatever we're trying to accomplish, there's going to be pain attached to what it is that we're doing. So whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, there will be pain attached to it. And the more comfortable that you can get with sitting in your pain, right, the better off that you will be. And so when I told my son, I said, son, it's going to hurt. Yo, just get real with it. And know that at the end of the day, your training will allow you to prevail, and you will overcome the pain that you are dealing with. Class is in session here, y'all. Y'all better be taking notes. The bell has rung. All right. So I told my son that, and then he was able to actually go out and accomplish the Junior Olympics, right? So he's gotten comfortable with his pain. But I also wanted to shine a light on a different conversation that we had. You know, with my son, I've always been monitoring his maturity levels, and I think there's different conversations when you're raising a young man that you start to graduate and have. Like when you're looking as a father, I'm looking at him and I'm like, yo, okay, we got to have that conversation about responsibility, right? We got to have that conversation about, yo, hard work and dedication and looking a man in the eye, shaking a hand firm and don't look down, yo, keep your head up, right? There's certain conversations and there's certain levels that we ascend to. So after my son qualified for the Junior Olympics for the first time in all three of those events, and I looked at my son and I gauged his maturity level, like he thinking I'm gonna talk to him about medals and everything else. We're on the car and we're driving back from San Antonio, y'all. Listen to me very carefully. We're driving back from San Antonio on I-35, and I looked at my son. My daughter's in the background. Cheyenne's listening. Sage, Cheyenne, and my youngest Adonis there. They can listen to me very carefully. I look at my son in the rearview mirror and I said, you know, I will die in a heartbeat for your mother and for any member of this family. I said, I will give my life for any one of you all. And when it comes to your mother, I said, I'll give my life without even questioning it. And he looked at me shocked and surprised. Why? Because, we're coming off of a high, right? We're coming off of just eating at the Olive Garden, going absolutely bonkers and ham over that salad and breadsticks. Do you hear me? So we're coming off an extreme high as a family. And now I'm talking to my son about death, right? And he's trying to figure it out. Like his mind is circling like, yo, why is Pops talking to me about this? Yo, Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks. I'm taking you guys somewhere. And I told him that because I said, from what I saw from you today, son, I said, now I know from a maturity standpoint, you've gone to another level. And the way that I look at you and I watch you compete over the last couple of days in the heat, right? Pushing your body, right? I saw you throw up and then come back within a matter of hours and run one of your best races. Like I saw a different light on for you, right? Which let me know as a father, I told him, I said, I know now with watching you overcome what you have overcome, I said, I know I can be comfortable with leaving the family in your hands. Like I feel even more comfortable with being able to be, if I have to be in a position where I have to give my life for you as well as this family or any member of this family, son, because of the way that you approach the track and because of what you have overcome, I now feel like mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, you are ready to be the leader of this family if your dad is no longer here. And I looked at my son and his mind is totally spinning. But I think at the end of the conversation, he got it. There was another way of me saying that I was extremely proud of him and what he had done. And it showed me that he was next up within this family. And for me as a father, it really and truly made me feel, I don't know, I felt good. I felt proud. But all I want to know is how many dads, how many parents have ever had to have that conversation with their family, with their spouses, with their children, most importantly. But I felt like that was that awakening moment that my son needed for me to hear. Like, son, I'm proud of you. Like, son, I know this level of next level of manhood that you're going under, like, yo, or that you're going through. It spoke volumes to me as your dad, as your patriarch of the family, to say, like, son, you got this. And if something ever comes up, I want you to know, I want you to have this conversation that if your dad ever has to give his life, I do so even more freely because of who you are growing up and what you have become and what you are starting to be now in life. It was a real life conversation after letting him know how proud I was of him making the Junior Olympics. So to all the dads out there, all the fathers, all the mothers, I encourage you, make those moments and see those moments within your life, within the lives of your children, where you can let them know how proud you are of them. Yes. But also let them know like that other next level of responsibility that you see them taking and how it has impacted me. For me, I had to let my son know that, man, yo, daddy I'm even more free. I was going to give my life for you, your mother, your sisters, your brother, anybody else in this family. I've always said that as a man, that I will give my life freely. But watching you compete and watching the way that you battle adversity, I now feel and know that as a father, yo, you are ready for whatever has to come forth in this life. And if I got to give my life today, I do so freely, knowing that you're going to step up to the plate and take care of whatever needs are there that have to be met. from your mother and your sisters. You're ready for that type of responsibility. You know, so mothers and fathers, take time for those real life conversations, like real life conversations. When you see your children overcoming obstacles, when you see your children tackling hurdles, when you see your children doing things that are next level, have those heart-to-heart moments of sharing with them about how their ability to overcome adversity is impacting your life. Man, my son set me free. 12-year-old set me free in terms of me looking at him, and I know I'm comfortable, man. You lay it all to rest today that he would lead this family. My wife, Shana, our daughter, Cheyenne, our other daughter, Sage, and our youngest, Adonis. I know that Messiah will take care of them. All right, we'll catch you guys on the other side of this break, talking about something from a stream of brokenness, and then also talk about how doing something new, like putting the headlights on my wife's car. And I'm not a mechanic by any stretch of the imagination, but it gave me a message. It gave me a word. Life is always one of the greatest teachers. Life is always what I use to come over the microphone the microphone and give messages. And I'm going to give you an example of how life spoke to me and how I know it will speak to you. Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks. This is Real Life, Real Talk, 102.7 ESPN. Catch you guys on the other side of this break. Let's go so we can grow. I love it, Pat. 3 minutes. How are we looking on time, brother, for the next segment, breaking down? We're at 10:35 now. What are we looking like? Try to break them down by minutes, Pat. How many you think on the third and how many you think on the fourth segment? I don't know. Do we got 12? That'll put us at, is it 12 and 10? 12 and 11? I don't know.
10 and 9.
10 and 9 is good. That works for me. But yeah, we had that moment, man, with my son, and I knew it took him by shock and surprise. Number one, because Dad's over here talking about death, right? But I just really wanted to have that moment with him of just telling him, like, really, I'm really proud of you, right? And I don't want that to be swept underneath the rug. So as parents, don't forget to have those heart-to-heart moments with our children, letting them know how proud you are of them. Right. And it could be the littlest of things, the smallest of things. Obviously, it doesn't have to be the conversation that my son and I had. But those were built on. You have to understand that's a built up conversation of many, many years over his life. Right. Always telling him, like, listen, man, something ever happens to Pop, you next up, or don't hide behind the pain you're experiencing, because if you're hide behind the pain you're experiencing, you can't get, all those different things. And I had to look to him and I had to sit back and tell him, like, yo, son, what you just did, right? That freed my spirit up as a man, right? You just helped your dad out tremendously, right? Because now I know that this family, hey, they gonna be good. Not to say it won't be any pain, it wouldn't be any hardships, anything else like that in life. But man, whenever life for me ends, whenever it has to go, I know you're gonna take care of it. You're gonna take care of these ladies, you're gonna take care of this your little brother, all of that. And I felt good about it, man. I was really proud of him. But yeah, shout out to my man Messiah Campbell. That was the message that I wanted to share with you is when you have children, don't forget to honor them. Don't forget to encourage them. Let them know when they're going to that next great level in their own personal life. And don't let the day pass without it, because we all know that tomorrow is not promised. You feel me? So as we come back on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about, I don't know, I'm going to talk about don't let your foot off the gas. I think I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about don't let your foot off the gas, and I'll show you what direction we're going with it. What's up, Ken Trey? 10 seconds and we'll be back on 987. We're also going live on YouTube, man. Y'all check it out, but don't let your foot off the gas. I'll talk about what that means on the other side of this segment and how it can affect.
Real Life, Real Talk with Tyler Campbell on 102.7 ESPN. Reach out to Tyler at 512-834-1027.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 102.7 ESPN. Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks, going live at Real Life, Real Talk. Also going live on YouTube right here at this time. letting you guys know, man, about that conversation that I had with my son. I had to tell him, I said, man, based off that performance, you throwing up, you having to almost feel like you were about to pass out. Then you come back on the track a couple hours later and you run one of your best times in the season thus far. I told him when we were driving home on I-35 from San Antonio, fresh off of those Olive Garden salad and breadsticks. Yo, you cannot tell me that salad at Olive Garden isn't hidden. But I told everybody on the previous break, like, he was hyped, right? He's got his gold medals on, he got his headphones on, he's listening, he's having a good time. And then I felt also a shift, like, yo, this is a good time to talk to him. And as a parent, you always have those moments when you can uplift and encourage, like, you see things out of maturity standpoint out of your children. And when I looked at my son based off of the previous athletic performance, I knew it was time to have another level of conversation. And that's why I told him, and I had to tell him, shout out to my man, my cousin Ken Trey, said that salad is goated. Yeah, man, it's the truth. It's the truth. All right. So, and I told my son, I looked at him and I said, I will die proudly for your mother and for your sisters, as well as for you, in a heartbeat. Like, no questions asked. Like, I'll give my life freely today, right now. I said, but the thing that is different about this conversation that we're having right now is that based off of your performance and what you've just done, I can now do that even more freely, knowing that based off of the adversity that you overcome, I know you ascended to another level of manhood in your life that lets me know that you will step up and take care of every member of this family. Like, I know you can do it. That's what I saw when I saw my son running. All right. People were looking at the times and how fleet he was. I looked at him like, man, this is another level of maturity, son. Like, I'm proud of you. This is another step of your manhood journey. So much so that I know you're ready you can take over this family. You can take over this family and run this family, look after everybody in this family based off of the strides that you're making. And you gotta let your children know that. Like, anybody in life in general, man, when you see people doing a good job, I can't say it enough. When you see people doing a good job, they're taking care of their business, right? They're being responsible. They keep showing up in life. My brothers and my sisters, Real Life, Real Talk Nation, let people know they're doing a good job. Let them know they're doing a good job. And that's the moment that I'm going to share. And that's the moment that I wanted to let be known when it came to looking at my son. Now, I want to share this with you guys. Don't let the foot off the gas. That's the next principle. All right. Don't let your foot off the gas. I don't know about y'all, but let's say there's a project that you're undertaking, right? And it's new. It's something that you've never, ever done before, right? Have you noticed that it can have its rough starts, right? It can get off to a slow start. There can be things that about this new project that are you pulling your hair out, right? It's not going as fast, particularly if you're building something. I don't know if you ever got something from IKEA, but like, yo, the directions say one thing, but yo, what you working on, the cabinet set that you working on, the directions are saying this, but you got something in front of you that looks nothing like what it looks like on paper, right? Have you ever been there? Okay, I know I've been there many a times. And here's the deal. What happens when you're building something, and you can take this to the bank, it can be business in general, it can be a plan, it can be entrepreneurship endeavor, right? When you're building something and you're stuck, right? You're struggling. Pieces of the puzzle are not adding up, right? Breakthroughs are not happening. You've got the plan, you got the directions, but nothing is coming to fruition. It is a struggle, and it hurts you. It kills you mentally. But then there's a light bulb moment in your construction, and the light bulb moment hits you and you start getting some pieces that put together, right? You got to start getting some screws in the right area. And now a project starts looking like what it looks like in those directions from IKEA. All right. You feel what I'm saying? The business is starting to flow. The phone calls are starting to come, right? You're starting to answer or have answers to questions that people are looking at, right? Things start working. All right. That's what I'm trying to get to. Things are working and they're starting to click. And then you're noticing that as you're coming towards the completion of whatever project that you're working on, you start getting so excited that when you hit another bump or when you hit another hurdle, where things aren't working as smoothly, but because you're starting to already see the development of a project, there's a tendency to go around what the directions are telling you to complete the project in its fullness, right? We start to get happy based off of the success that has been built up that we're having, that as we get to the closure of the project or of the business plan or of the account that we are looking to solidify, that because we're having success, because it's taking shape and because it's taking form, as we get to the close and there's a little bit more struggle, there's a little bit more strife, pieces of the puzzle aren't adding together, we start to skip steps based off of the previous successes that got us to that point that we're starting to have. And so what I want to tell people is, yo, don't let your foot off the gas. When I was putting together my wife's headlights over the weekend, last week, I am no mechanic, right? That's not what I do. I got mouthpiece. I got words. All right. So working with hands, that's not always my strong suit. But my wife wanted her headlights fixed. And I'm looking at the bill. I'm like, yo, we got to look this up on YouTube. I'm not about to pay no mechanic like $800, right, to fix some headlights. Go ahead and get the lights, get the LED lights, HID lights that I'm supposed to get from O'Reilly's. You know what I'm saying? They hook a brother up. I open the hood and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I don't know nothing about what's going on. Go to YouTube, right? YouTube can always teach you. And it was a struggle, right? I couldn't get the screws done. Had to go back to the auto shop. Had to get some more Allen wrenches to match up. It was a nightmare, right? Took me long hours. So much so that my wife was like, yo, I'm going to ride with my friend to the Beyonce concert in Houston. We ain't got time for you to sit back and fix these headlights because it's taking you too long, right? So I'm hitting my struggle point. I can't get the project off the ground like I was talking about earlier. I can't get the headlights to start, the box to start opening up so I can actually do the work. Then what happens is, yo, I come back, I get the Allen wrenches, right? I got the Allen wrenches, I'm unscrewing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the groove, right? I've watched the YouTube video enough to memorize, doggone it, how you fix the headlights in the Chevy, right? So we got that going. I'm starting to experience success, right? I'm unlocking the HID box. I've got the first headlight taken care of and screwed in. I start the car, the lights pop on. I'm like, oh my God, it's working, right? I'm having the moment. Your boy is turning into a real life mechanic. I'm on cloud 12, bump cloud 10. Your boy is on 12. Are you listening to me? I'm happy and I'm excited, right? But then we get to the next headlight, right? It's 2 headlights, all right? I'm following the methodology. I'm unscrewing my Allen wrench. And then all of a sudden, I hear this click, click, click. Okay? Yo, the Allen wrench fell out of my hands. Yo, I can't see where the Allen wrench went. And then I'm having that moment like, listen, I got a whole nother set of Allen wrenches. I can just leave that other Allen wrench that I see sitting on like the frame that's down below the engine. It's like, yo, I'm just leave that Allen wrench sitting over there in between them cords. Ain't nobody ever gonna notice it. My wife won't ever notice. You won't ever know it. I'm just gonna leave it. And so, I want to continue to work on the job and just finishing the headlights. And so that don't pull your foot off the gas analogy came to me because the struggle and the strife hit me when trying to put the headlights on. I couldn't get the headlights. I didn't have the parts. It was such a nightmare. My wife left. Like all these other things, I'm struggling. Then I start to have success, right? And then when you're working on a project that is foreign to you, you don't necessarily know what it's like if you don't finish the project correctly, right? When you're working on something and you have a familiarity with it, right? You know the nuts, you know the bolts of your problems, you know what it is that you're working on. So you know, because of familiarity with the project, you know that if you don't do it this certain way, you know where it's going to catch up with you. But when you are unfamiliar with it, you think that, oh my gosh, okay, nobody's ever going to notice, right? Or if I do this way instead of the exact way of the directions, or if I do the business this way, if I do the job this way, nobody else is going to notice. But what's going to happen is over time, it will get revealed where you half did the job. Because you aren't familiar with it, you can't see it. But life is going to bring it to you where, yo, if you let the foot off the gas and don't do the project in its completeness, in its wholeness, the way that it's supposed to be done, yo, it's going to fall apart on you somewhere in life. And I caught myself saying that when I was trying to fix my wife's headlights with that Allen wrench falling in the cords. And I was like, yo, I can't do this. I can't let my foot off the gas. I got to figure out how to get my hand all the way down off in there and retrieve that Allen wrench, because if I don't, who knows what could happen. That wrench could mess up a cord. It could get heated. It could mess up something within the engine. I don't know. I said to myself, oh my gosh, I got to share this with Real Life, Real Talk Nation. And we got to talk about how when you're working on a project, yo, you cannot let your foot off the gas and you got to finish it. Long story short, I had to get my hand all the way down off in there somehow, some way without losing it. Yo, got that Allen wrench back, unscrewed that HID box for the lights, put the lights back in there the white and proper way. And my wife doesn't know about all the hell that I went through to get to that standpoint true. But as I go to sleep at night, knowing that I completed the job the best way that I could, the right way, so that nothing would happen catching up. And so what I want to tell somebody is, you're working on something that you've never done before. You have no familiarity with all the pieces of the puzzle. You're learning as you go. Don't half do the job, because if you half do it, it's going to catch up with you later on in life. And you don't want to have to deal with those problems as they do. This is Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks. We're talking about don't let your foot off the gas. I want y'all to catch me on the other side of this break. I have one specific principle. It's going to come from a place of brokenness, but I'm going to give you how you can smile in your brokenness, and you know that change is going to come. Catch you guys on the other side of this break. It will be very quick. Let's go so we can grow. All right, Pat, how we looking, baby? Like 5 minutes, 4 minutes?
Like 5.
That'll work. 5 minutes will work for me. 5 minutes will work. So
59:30.
Yeah, 59:30. All right, I got you. I'll get you at 59. I'll cut you at 59. Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. We are live at Real Life, Real Talk. We are live on YouTube, but I wanted to say that and share that. When you have success and you're almost to the finish line, think of it like a race. Like there's that tendency to let up as you're getting closer to the finish line. When in all actuality, if you don't finish the race in its fullness and its entirety, because you are letting you're letting your foot off the gas as you approach, somebody will swoop in and take your medal. If you are in a relationship and you are easing up because it is comfortable, somebody's going to swoop in, right, and take all that you have built because you're easing your foot off the gas. It is constantly something that I have to talk about with my wife, and she always like, yo, you have to constantly date me. You gotta keep on dating me. You can't let your foot off the gas because you have me, right? Fellas, you can identify with that. I'm sure you've been told, right? A woman likes to continue to be dated, right? And you will get those reminders, right? It's like, oh, well, we got to get the babysitter. We got to go out to eat. Long story short, don't let your foot off of the gas, because it will catch up to you, right? It's going to catch up to you. You don't even know that it's coming. People don't even see. You did the job and it's half done. You thinking that you're going to get over, like nobody is going to notice what you didn't do, but it will reveal itself. And you don't want those phone calls, right? You don't want those problems of leaving the job left undone on the table. Yo, do the job, finish the job. You're going to struggle in the beginning. Then you're going to experience a level of success. That success is going to make you feel like you can get comfortable in what you're doing because you're having success, right? You're gaining more clients. You're ascending. You're getting some money in your pocket. It's on the trajectory. But then you're going to overcome. Then there's going to be another hurdle that's going to come into your life. And in that moment, you have the ability to decide, yo, do I want to do it? Or do I want to do it in its fullness? Nobody will ever know. And I'm telling you, don't let your foot off the gas and finish it strong. Finish it strong so it doesn't come back to bite you, so that you can gain greater opportunities because you go from start all the way to finish. All right, that's Real Life, Real Talk. That's what we keep talking about. And then we're going to close out strong with this segment of me giving you my heart, transparency. 10 seconds, 102.7 ESPN. Let's go so we can grow. All right, here we come.
You are listening to Real Life, Real Talk with Tyler Campbell on 102.7 ESPN. Reach out to Tyler at 512-834-1027.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We got to be quick with it today, all right? I want y'all to go back and play this message on YouTube. Share it on SoundCloud. I think on SoundCloud, I've got like I don't know, like 5 years worth of messages on SoundCloud from being on radio, inspirational messages. Go back, look me up, TC Speaks 32 on SoundCloud, Real Life, Real Talk, Tyler Campbell. You can go find them there. Gonna start doing things on YouTube because a lot more people wanted the visuals. Follow me at Real Life, Real Talk, at TC Speaks 32 on your social media platforms. Give you the rundown of the show. We talked about everybody wants to be noticed, but not everyone is comfortable being watched, all right? I talked about Tiger Woods and that effect that he would have on people who got paired with him, right? How they would be in the leaderboards on going into Sunday, but then when they got paired with Tiger and everybody was all eyes on them, they would crumble, they would crush, okay? They wouldn't. Our words of the week are knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. I challenge everybody to look up all three of those words, garner the definitions, right? Your knowledge are the facts. Your understanding is your ability to garner the meaning of the facts in that order. You have to have knowledge, then you gain understanding. And then lastly, you got to have wisdom, right? Which is the application and sound judgment to make decisions. If you have knowledge and you have understanding, you then got to have the ability to discern. And when you've got knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, you can't be stopped. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about in bank accounts. I'm talking about things that are free that you can work diligently on daily to obtain. And then we talked about not letting your foot off of the doggone gas, right? And what that means and how you have to finish the same way you started, with the same zeal, the same energy, the same passion, the thing that got you there. Don't recoil and not finish the job. You've gone through all adversity, trials, and tribulations to get you to that standpoint. Why, when you're nearing the end? Why, when you're getting closer to your destination? Why, when you're coming close to the finish line, do people let the foot off the gas? Because when you're doing so, when you lay out, when you start taking it easy, when you start coasting in life, somebody's going to swoop in and take your doggone reward. Mind you, you've worked so incredibly hard from start to middle to now you're at the finish to get there. Don't let somebody else take your reward. Doggone it, don't let that happen. All right, so I want to say this, and this comes from my heart, and it's what I've experienced, it's what I've known. As y'all know, I've lived with multiple sclerosis ever since I was 21 years old. First one to play Division I college football with multiple sclerosis, right? I don't take accolades for it. It's a gift and a blessing from the man up above, not mine to claim. But there's something that I've learned. There's something I've learned in marriage. There's something that I've learned out of my trials and my tribulations, and I want to share this with you, my true vulnerability and transparency with you. I've got 2 minutes. Understand that your brokenness is not the end. It's actually the beginning. And it signifies that it's like that the time for change is now. When I look at my MS and I looked at, football eventually being taken away from me and that professional sports were not an opportunity, I also said that it is the most broken time in my life up to that point, being, 23, 24 years old at that particular time. But it also signified that a greater change was coming, right? And I didn't understand in that moment, like, where life was going to take me. I did know that something was going to keep me after football was over. So no matter where it is that you are in life, and there's somebody who's speaking in or listening into the microphone, and you are broken, you've been broken by life, you've been broken by relationships, you've been broken down by distrust. People have said slanderous things about you, bro. I've been there. Your health is not in the best standing right now. All right. Your job is in question right now, and you just feel extremely broken, right? You feel extremely broken. Understand that this level of brokenness that you are at right now, this is the beginning of understanding that change is also coming, and it's going to be a change for the better. All right. And I want you to hold on to that. I want you to stay true to that. That is my vulnerability. That is my transparency. When MS broke me down and still breaks me down, day in and day out, I struggle with my disease. I'm an autoimmune patient. I also know that every time it's coming to break me, it signifies that a greater change is also coming over the side of that. So that is my message, and that is my close. And I want you to identify your stream of brokenness. You'll write it down. Where is life breaking you at right now? Right? Is it erectile dysfunction? Check. Is it in relationships? Is it within your marriage? Check. Are your kids out here wilding out in the streets? Check. Where is life breaking you down? Is your job taking you to another level? Check. Write down your stream of brokenness. And understand that as you're able to identify with it, it also signifies to you that a greater change is now being made room to come. So I'm asking you, beloved, to hang on, right? To hold on tight, right? To cling to your friends, right? Who are those solid circle of individuals in your life that you trust? Where's your prayer at? You know what I'm saying? What are those things that keep you whole? Hold on to them, because change is on the horizon and it is coming, because the brokenness has come and arrived. There's now being another door of opportunity that's coming for someone to leap in, for life to grab you, for something to hold you and something to console you that gets you through what it is that you're going through. I never would have thought I'd be on the microphone. My brokenness of MS brought me this direction. All right. Tyler Campbell, aka Mr. TC Speaks, signing off from you from Austin, Texas for Real Life, Real Talk. I'm here every Saturday, 102.7 ESPN. Find me on YouTube. Tyler at tcspeaks.com is my email. All right. Find me on social media at Real Life, Real Talk, at TC Speaks 32. All right. I will have another fire message for you next week. Go out, be blessed. Don't have the stress. As always, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. What? So that we can grow. Peace.